don't think most people understand the Trunk Club story as an unusual birth. To talk about that for a minute.
This is just so dicey and so scary to think about what happened. So Trunk Club actually existed already. It was based in Bend, Oregon. We had one full-time employee. It was a founder. She's a 25-year-old, really talented. And they were trying to raise money in Silicon Valley, and everybody told them, you're not credible. There's no way we'll give you money. You're 25 and you know nothing about business, but this is a good idea. So go get a technical co-founder. Go get someone who can run this business. Go get a co-founding CEO, and you'll be able to raise money. And one of those venture firms called me and said, hey, we heard you're leaving Bonobos, which we're really shocked about. We were trying to invest in your last round, and we think the world of you. And so we wonder if you would consider taking over Trunk Club if we were to put some money in. And so, I went from feeling like, oh my gosh, I'll never find a job again, and how do I pay my rent in New York, to like being courted for another opportunity just a few days after I made the announcement that I was leaving. So it was a nice little shot in the arm, and I was at a low point. It's sort of like a rebound kind of thing, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to talk to these guys and just get back on my horse. And it sounded interesting, and they were really complimentary to me, and they kind of helped me rebuild a little self-esteem at a time where I was really feeling a little bit broken. And so I flew out to San Francisco, met with them. They flew me to Bend. I met with Joanna, and it's like, this is pretty interesting. And they're like, well, look, we've been working on the deal for 4 months, and we just haven't been able to find a CEO who's dumb enough to take over this business. But you're just dumb enough to do this. And, we're gonna get you while you're at your frail point. And they were right. They got me. They convinced me that it would be a good opportunity. And I said, look, I'll take over as CEO, but I need to own a big piece of this because it's tiny. And I'm basically going to be the founder of this business. We don't have any full-time employees other than this founder.
How much revenue was it at the time?
$20,000 a month.
Wow.
So nothing.
It was
infancy.
Right.
We had 15 part-time salespeople who lived in different parts of the world who had paid $2,000 to $5,000 for the right to be a stylist at Trunk Club. So it's basically somewhere between like Mary Kay and a Ponzi scheme. It's not a Ponzi scheme because we never let any of those people make money for signing up other people. But if they had, we'd probably never have made it out of the mess that we got into. So I agreed to become the CEO. Joanna and I became fast friends. Turns out there were some inconsistencies, but I didn't recognize them at the time because I was sort of also a wounded founder and respectful of her position. And became the CEO at the end of November. 3 days later, Joanna resigned at the risk of being in really deep trouble for inconsistencies that we discovered. Like revenue was reported that was really investment capital from people who are not disclosed to us. A lot of things that were just
a lot of things that you would have made you red flag.
Yeah, maybe, and just surprised us. And so when confronted, she resigned immediately. And I had actually hired a guy in Chicago to be our part-time ops guy, and sent him to Bend, Oregon, to put the company in a semi-truck and move it to Chicago. He was moving the company and all of her belongings from Bend to Chicago, and she resigned. So he was driving on a Sunday, and that Sunday at noon, she had a call with our board and resigned. And I had to call him and say, turn the truck around and go park in a Walmart. I'm going to try to figure out what's going on here. And, just go see a movie, buy yourself a nice dinner, stay in a hotel, it's on me, no big deal. And so we dropped her personal effects because we were moving her across the country as well. She had signed a lease on an apartment in Chicago. She was actually quite excited about moving the business to Chicago after I did my dog and pony show about what a great town I thought this was to build Trunk Club in. And we dropped her stuff off in her front yard, and because she wouldn't sort of work with us and blah, blah, blah. And drove what was left of Trunk Club to Chicago, and then realized that most of the people that were our part-time salespeople were quite unhappy and disenchanted, and the floodgates opened, and I took a lot of flack, and tried to rebuild credibility with them for the next several months, flew them all to Chicago, put them up in hotels, met them, interviewed them, and it just didn't work out. So we started from scratch. And in April, I just said, well, we got to start selling clothes, so I'm going to start doing it myself. And I sold $10,000 in clothes in April. Our company sold a total of $39,000. And in May, I sold $35,000 of clothes myself, and the company sold just over $70,000. So I basically was just selling myself. And in May, I was like, this is a great business. This is going to work. and we were able to recruit our first sales manager, and he is now a superstar leader at our company and has helped hire the other 105 salespeople. And